Hello and welcome to another edition of the Show. We are two geeks who talk about everything. My name is Aaron, and I am joined, as always, by my cousin. Say hello.
Hello and good day.
Did you say hello? No, I said hello. But
I
that's
said
close enough.
hello.
That was a horrible imitation of that worm. And if that didn't give it away, and if our intro didn't give it away, we are going to be spending time talking about the classic Jim Henson directed movie Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. I don't know. I'm excited. This is a piece of childhood that.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. I watched it just like a couple of weeks ago. My son had a Lego thing. He's kind of in the phase now at the 10-ish age where he is like building Legos for display, right? So not just to play with. So like these Legos that are like Star Wars, like heads of, stormtroopers or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
The same way I do Legos.
Yes, like
Excuse
you
me,
do with
Lego.
your Back to the Future.
Lego is plural for Lego.
So anyway, so he and I are building this, and I'm just like, what we're going to turn on? Labyrinth, because son, everyone,
It's time.
It's time.
What are you building? What Lego set are you working on?
He did the one from the last Star Wars movie. And so it was the little robot that, that Ray meets. What is it called? You know what I'm talking about?
Dio?
That little one. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know.
It was like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
It was like
she was like gonna pick him up.
BB-8's pet.
Yeah. That's the one. So anyway, we're building that, and I'm just like, we're gonna turn on Labyrinth. And he was glued. I ended up building the Lego because he was glued to the movie. So
all right. Well, some facts to take you back to 1986. It was released on June 27th of that year. As we said before, directed by Jim Henson. Screenplay by Terry Jones, best known for Monty Python fame. Is based on a story by Dennis Lee and Jim Henson. Of course, we mentioned starring David Bowie, Jennifer Connelly. It was considered a box office disappointment with a reported budget of $25 million, but only grossing $34 million at the worldwide box office.
And yet, a place in our memories for all time.
Because it's a cult classic. It has grown.
It is.
So even though it didn't do well in the box office, look, it has a 75% score on Rotten Tomatoes, 86% audience score. It's a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb. On my personal flick chart, it ranks at 919 out of 2521. So I really think it ought to be reevaluated, and it should be higher.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, here's what you got. You've got Jennifer Connelly, who I didn't really know. I'm 5. You know what I mean? So, but this comes out. You have a few movies like this. You have Beetlejuice, which Jennifer Connelly actually turned down the role for Lydia in that. But there was that, and then there was also like this movie Legend with Tom Cruise and Mia Sara.
Yeah, that was the year before this.
There was like a few movies just like that. That if you got a chance to really fall in love with these movies, these are golden throughout your life. I mean, you could watch them at any time, and you're just right back there in that moment, singing along, especially to Dance Magic Dance.
And you got Jim Henson in this. I mean, this was a big deal, especially coming out of what year did the Dark Crystal come out? 82?
Right. And Dark Crystal is another huge cult classic.
Yeah, but again, did horribly when it first came out.
Totally. Well, and this idea of puppets, I'm sure just doesn't, didn't maybe appeal or land, but it worked. It works in such a great way. I love the movie.
Well, it's like it works today because we look back on it fondly with nostalgia, but for whatever reason, back when they were doing this thing, it just didn't connect for some reason. Unless you have the actual Muppets doing something, it's like, should they really bother trying? And I would argue they should try, because we get stuff like this. It's just a shame that it wasn't appreciated in its time.
but people still love the Muppets, and obviously the Muppets have been, throughout the decades, very popular. And but at the same time, these kind of movies, first of all, I've got to say, like, all right, so you had mentioned Jim Henson and Dennis Lee did the story, and Terry Jones did the screenplay.
Right.
And I've got to say, I think that the writing was awesome in the movie. It was hilarious to me. I love it even as an adult, as a kid. And it's not just nostalgia where it's like, oh, I'm going to make some exceptions for bad acting. No, I loved all of it. I love Hoggle's character. I love Ludo, Sir Didymus. I love it all. Love it all. And David Bowie, especially. Smooth guy.
I like how his scepter is a microphone.
Yeah. And you see what I've got here? I've got this ball. It's a lacrosse ball, actually, because when I saw him, like doing the juggling of the glass balls, I was like, I've got to learn that. And
that's not him, right?
I don't care. I don't know who it is.
I'm just saying, there's somebody else that actually fills in.
Surely, I'm sure, because it only shows his hands.
Right.
But when he's doing it, and I was just like, oh, I've got to learn how to do this. I totally pre-video here, just like was doing this and like popped it on my desk. But so I won't do it now.
Throw the ball across the room.
Well, you're
going to break something.
In progress.
I used to, I don't even know where I got them from. They were supposed to be, I think, Chinese, like therapy.
Oh yeah, the little things,
like seriously, like metal balls,
right?
That, like, it was only 2 of them, whereas Bowie has like 4 of these crystal balls in his hands, and they're like twice as big as those ones that I had when I was a kid. But like, I got those, I started spinning those in my hand. I was like, I'm the Goblin King, y'all.
Oh man, it's funny because my kids, when they've watched them, and my daughter has watched it before, but when they watched it, it's funny at the beginning when you have the scene with Sarah, and it opens up, you immediately don't like her, like nobody likes her. Yeah, she's a brat, right? Yeah. And you just hear her in this moment. It's almost like an Anna Green Gables wannabe, right? This girl who dresses up and goes out, and she's reciting.
She's a theater geek,
but right, a little snobby like a theater geek. For all those theater geeks, as I am one of them, we can be a bit snobby at times. And so,
no, you come on,
posh,
well, and I think there's like some backstory here that they didn't really get to explore, for time reasons, but like her like biological mother was a theater star, and that's really? that was part of the story, and that's why she is so obsessed with theater life and fantasy, and because her mother was an actress. And I don't know what the story is. I can't remember if it was something like where she had died at some point and her father got remarried, because it's clear that the mother of that we're introduced to is her stepmother.
Right.
Like, she even makes a joke about being cast as the wicked stepmother, no matter how hard she tries.
Right.
And that's true. I mean, it doesn't matter what this woman does. Sarah's brat, and she treats her stepmother horribly, but treats everybody horribly, honestly.
She does. I will say it's been a cautionary tale for my daughter, who is 3 years older than my son, because she babysits. And, it was almost like, be careful what you wish for. And of course, my daughter's retort would be something like, so it would work.
So you're telling me I can actually do this, right?
There's a way to
say the right words.
Yeah.
And make someone vanish.
Are you able to like watch this movie and like quote the lines?
A few of them, yeah. Like, I don't have the whole script memorized, but
greedy,
there's there's a lot of them.
Oh, there's so many good ones. I love how 15-20 minutes in, you get out of the song. You get the Dance Magic Dance song. I love that, because I mean, regardless of your investment into it, you start seeing that, and it's such a fun, good song.
It's
Love
like
it.
it's like a blend of fantasy and rock opera.
Yeah, yeah, it sure is. Yeah, at any
I
time. I'm
mean,
like down there singing it with my kids prior to this. We're eating dinner, and I'm just like full on David Bowie singing this.
it's
And
not
I love
exactly Bohemian Rhapsody, but
No.
it is like you've got all of these David Bowie songs that, I mean, they weren't hits, but I mean, they are memorable. Like
Right.
you can easily be caught singing along. Like I was watching it today just to jog my memory on a lot of it, because it's probably been a few years since I'd seen it.
Sure.
And so, but as I'm watching it, or even not even halfway paying attention, I've got other stuff going on, and I'm hearing it in the background, and the masquerade scene, I'm hearing that, and I remember the song. I'm singing along, and
Oh, yeah.
all those songs. There's
So good. So good.
the one with the from the opening credits, which, by the
No
way,
one
is
could
still
blame
kind of
you.
impressive
Yeah.
with the CGI owl.
Yeah, with the
I'm
owl.
not
That
saying it
was
holds up today like Jurassic
no,
Park
but it
holds up
was
today,
still
but
for what it was at the time, very good.
that's the earliest I think example of realistic kind of attempt at an animal um you know in CGI, I guess.
One thing I wanted to say is, a lot of people, everybody knows David Bowie for the most part, for his
David
music
who?
career. Who? And of course he's passed, and there was a lot more focus on him recently. But Jennifer Connelly has quite the career as well, quite the versatile career. Most recently, we would know her from, of course, being in Top Gun Maverick. So a lot of people have seen her in that, and then also she's in the show Snowpiercer, which
Mm-hmm.
was originally the movie with Chris Evans, but she wasn't in that. And so they made a show with her in it. But she's also done other things. She was in the Hulk movie in 2003, Requiem, many movies.
Requiem for a Dream,
Requiem for a Dream. That's what I mean.
Darren Aronofsky.
But she's done quite a lot of things. But was this her first movie?
No, I
What did
don't
she
think
do
so.
before this one? Do you know? I can look
uh
at IMDb.
I don't know. This was her breakout role, though. Like
Yeah.
this is where she would probably be most recognized for as her earliest role.
Yeah,
Because
you're
then
right. She
after
had done a few
this,
things before that. 7 Minutes in Heaven, a music video, Jennifer Phenomena, which wasn't Phenomenon with Travolta, it was Phenomena. And then something called Once Upon a Time in America and Duran Duran Union of the Snake, which is a music video. So
did you just
just
say something called Once Upon a Time in America? That's kind of a big deal.
no idea.
Pretty sure Sergio Leone directed that one. It's a big one. I'm pretty sure that's on my list of. I haven't seen it, but I'm
That's
pretty sure it's
yeah,
on that
Sergio
top
Leone,
100 movies that I've never
Robert De
seen
Niro.
list. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's definitely one I've never seen, but 1984. So one of the things that Aaron does is Aaron will watch all of these movies, these high ranked movies, top 100 movies, and he has a whole list that he has gone through and done blogs about. So it's really, really cool. He spent a lot of time doing that. But no, I've not heard of that one.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that one yet, but I hear it's good. Yeah, Sergio Leone more better recognized for like spaghetti westerns, that kind of thing.
So, but that you had awesome, just hilarious characters like Hoggle. Oh my gosh, so funny from the get-go, you know.
Hoggle
Oh, it's
irritates me.
you. Oh
His
yeah,
back and forth, his betrayal, and I mean he redeems himself in the end, but
Brian Henson was the voice of Hoggle. I wonder if he
uh
is. He is. Let's see. He did Labyrinth, Return to Oz, and
it's Jim Henson's son, right?
right, yeah. So, and then he's been married to Mia Sarah. That's pretty good.
Is he still married to her?
It says since 2010.
Oh wow.
So, that's doing pretty well for yourself.
Um I like
I'll
how
work them out.
when they're showing Sarah's bedroom there at the beginning, you can, if you've seen it before and like this is a multiple or a repeated viewing, you can pick up story elements that are foreshadowed based on like several objects that are
In
her
her
room.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Some really cool themes. I mean, obviously, you have this idea of be careful what you wish for, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a play on that too, where it's like she's like saying, that she wants her brother to go away, and the goblins are all like, huh? Did she say it? And,
Did
and
you
then,
say it?
yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah. Oh, she didn't say it, and then
It
she
didn't
says,
even begin with "I wish."
and then it's gone. From the second you get to meet David Bowie. Now, here's a question that my son asked me. He says, does he love her or something? Like, does he want to make her his queen? And I was like, well, son, this would be an interesting way of love. Not the, I'm trying to expound on him about someone trying to own someone, and I'm like, oh wait, you're 10. Yeah, he likes her.
This is a toxic sort of infatuation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, again with the masquerade scene. I think this is where you really start to see that there is maybe supposed to be some sort of romantic subtext there. But at the same time, it's like, dude, she's 16 and you are in your 40s.
Yeah.
All right.
Which
back the heck off.
But for a music star,
no,
I'm sure he's used to that.
We're not.
I'm not saying excuses. It's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying he's probably like, well, of course, I've had 16-year-old girls like me forever, but it was a little odd for him to be pursuing.
But he was pursuing her.
Yeah.
And she rejected his advances, even though it was just a dream.
Yeah. Had we had more of a Robert Pattinson type aged look, you know what I mean? That probably would have been more. That's the closest I can come to a David Bowie lookalike. Just that's all I've got. But anyway, so you come right into it, and I think this set was pretty amazing. Like, just you had a lot of glitter. I mean, the whole thing, it was like you had to
the whole labyrinth was glitter. I mean, everything like it's like they coated everything in like a glittery slime, and then
could you imagine going back to your trailer afterwards? You're like, God, I can't get it off of me.
Where does glitter come from? Oh, I was running around in the labyrinth. I mean, I used to get glitter on me all the time, but that was when I worked at Old Navy and had to fold clothes in the girls section. And there was, they put glitter on all those stupid t-shirts.
Yeah. Yeah. Glitter's hard to get off.
It is.
I don't know what the deal is with glitter.
That's why one of those great pranks now these days is the glitter bomb. You send your enemy a glitter bomb, glitter everywhere. Good luck cleaning that up.
Yeah, I think that's probably worse than some of the other ones I could think of. So, but anyway,
I'd rather have poo in the bag on my front porch than have a glitter bomb, personally.
Did you know that the father, the guy who played her father, was in Star Wars? He was one of the pilots.
I did not know that.
He was. He was the one who goes and picks them up in Empire Strikes Back. I found them.
Yeah, that is him.
He's the one. Sarah. Well, he wasn't really a good father either, was he? She's like really upset, and he's just like, he probably is just used to her banter.
Yeah, I'm sure he's used to her being a brat, and so he's just brushing her off.
Like, Sarah, we'll be back later.
We've got to play. We've got things to do. We're on our way out. Take care of your little brother.
Don't give him to the Goblin King.
You had one job, Sarah. One job. I will say the ADR for the parents' vocal work at the beginning there isn't the best.
It isn't the best.
It doesn't really match up. I don't know. I don't know if they just didn't catch their voices on set and they had to go back. I mean, they do that, the recordings for so many different reasons, but like sometimes it's that they can't get the accent right. with the actress or the actor. There, I remember one really infamous version or instance of that was I want to say it's Tarzan in New York.
Oh, I love that movie
with Andy McDowell in it.
Yeah.
And but if you watch that movie, it's not her voice. They did not like her having her Southern accent. And so
I never noticed
in post-production, they had someone else dub her voice.
Sorry, Andy, it's not working for us.
It caused a big stink.
I didn't even notice, but of course I haven't seen it since I was a little kid. So well, anyway, so you're rolling through this movie, you get to the dance magic dance. My son just about died laughing when he says smack that baby, make him pee in the song.
Or it doesn't say make him pee, it says make him free.
No. I you should know that for both me and my child, we very much heard it as make him, whether it was or it wasn't, we heard smack that baby, make him pee. So again, that is
12.
Yes. We laughed heartily at it, both of us. Him being naturally 10 and me being mentally 10. It was amazing.
I used to think it said make him bleed.
Ooh, gosh, you're dark.
I mean, what happens when you smack somebody? I mean, it's obviously gonna.
This is where your literal nature goes wrong. You understand? You can't. This is what's hurt you. Is when you look at things and you say things like,
I see reality. Oh, I'm sorry. I live in a real world.
Somebody smacked me as a baby, I'd probably pee. Smack that baby, make him pee. That's funny. It's fun. Look at you. Where are you? I recall a time not too long ago, and by not too long ago, I mean 30 years, where you would have laughed at a joke like that with me when we were 10.
Maybe.
I just never grew up from that.
But I'm not 10 anymore. I'm 42.
Maybe
there's back problems. I have toothaches. I have headaches.
That's the purpose of this podcast.
I have high blood pressure.
Bring out I've got blood pressure. Who over 40 doesn't have blood pressure? But hey,
high blood pressure. Everybody has blood pressure if you're alive. I would hope.
High blood. I'm taking pills. Everybody's taking pills. Oh, listen. Listen. My job here is to get your 10-year-old self out of you, and it's going to come.
And my job is to make you grow up just a little bit.
Oh, good luck.
All right,
people have been trying that for years.
Creepiest and most impressive scene might be with the helping hands.
Oh yeah,
I freaking love the helping hands. I think that is super. I don't know, like creative. The way that they like do all of those. It is puppetry, but it's literally just with hands.
How did you even come up with that?
Right?
And the different facial structures that they did with the hands.
And the voices that match the faces. It's like
which way? And it's had the hands for the mustache.
And it looks and one looks like an old man. It's a big decision for her.
Yeah. Which way? I love that.
Yeah. The helping hands is awesome.
He said down. She said down.
Was that wrong? Too late now.
Oh my gosh. I love the part when they go down into the mausoleum. Is that what they call it?
L'oubliette.
L'oubliette. That's what it is.
So close.
So close. What's the? I don't know what either word means.
Mausoleum is where you bury someone above the ground.
What's an oubliette?
Oubliette is French for a place of forgetting.
Huh.
Yeah.
Gosh. How you know that stuff? Anyway.
Cesspool of useless knowledge.
So, when they're down there and the guy's he's about to do his big speech, and she's like, Hoggle's like, come on, stop. He's like, oh, come on. I haven't done it for such a long time, but the path you will take will lead to certain destruction. I love that whole part.
Thank you so much.
What about the part when you had the, I still get kind of tricked around with the part with the one who lies and the one who tells the truth.
Oh yeah. She was right. Like the way she figured that out, that's absolutely the way that it should go. Like,
okay, because I even to this day it goes so fast that I'm like, no
Yeah.
logic there. I would have just flipped a coin if it was me.
I remember as a kid, like not getting that, but I really paid attention to it this time. And so she asks one of them, she said, if I were to ask him if this door leads to the castle, would he say yes? And so, from there, she's able to deduce that the other door is the one she needs to take. So it was good. It works. The logic is sound.
Because if that one's telling the truth, then that one's going to say no.
Right.
And then it is that one. And if that one's telling the lie, then it's no anyway. And that one would say yes. And then it would be that one.
Exactly.
Whew. Well,
yeah.
I'm glad we cleared this up. It's been,
but the only reason I feel like she fell through, like she dropped into the helping hands, is because she said the curse words of this movie. It's a piece of cake.
Oh no, I think it was an advancement. I think it was an advancement because,
well, of course, I mean, she winds up in the oubliette.
When she went to the oubliette, he says, and they're all like laughing, and he's like, no, she shouldn't have got that far.
Yeah.
So it's like it was an advancement for her to get to the oubliette.
But still, there was this whole long pathway though. So I'm thinking that he opened up the hole to the oubliette.
Yeah, because David Bowie's not playing fair.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
That's not fair. You say that so often.
What your sense of comparison is? Is that what it says?
Something like that.
No.
Your basis for comparison.
Yeah. I just love the way he talks to her. And it's at the beginning, you're kind of agreeing with him because he is putting her in her place, right?
Because she's a brat.
Because she's a brat. But after a while, you start going, yeah, you're creepy.
Yeah, you're 45.
What about the scene when she eats the apple, right?
Peach.
Or the pear or whatever it is, the peach, yeah. And she goes, and that whole scene with her and the woman who had the stuff on her back.
Okay, I think that's the most brilliant scene in the whole movie.
I do too,
because that is where you get the most obvious character development for Sarah.
Yeah,
because you see her at the beginning. She's a brat. She's obsessed with all of these things from childhood, with her mother and with her,
right.
All of these things that she knows about her mother and the theater and all these fantasy. She's obsessed with the fantasy that comes with childhood. But as she has come through this journey, and they're trying to trick her into believing she's back at home, she's surrounded by these comfortable objects, these items that remind her of her childhood. She realizes, no, I have something to do. I'm here for a reason. And she grows up in that moment.
Responsibility.
It's all junk.
Yeah. Well,
none of it matters.
And not that this is like the most philosophical movie ever, but it's really telling because for anybody growing up, that's part of the gig, whether it's getting a job or it's engaging in schoolwork or anything. It's like there's this moment where you go, well, it doesn't really matter how I feel. I have a job to do. I have a responsibility. No matter how I feel, I've got to do this. And she does. She grows up in that moment, and her character changes from there.
Yeah, but even at the end, that she's still surrounded by the things of her childhood, and even these creatures, Hoggle, Didymus, Ludo, they all show up in her bedroom, and it's a repeat of the scene before she goes to face the Goblin King. Should you need us? And she realizes, yes, I do need you.
Yeah.
From time to time, I need you because it's important to, and I'm eating these words after you complain that I'm not 10 years old anymore, but you're
say it.
It's important to remember childhood, and it's important to remember these fantastical things that shaped your imagination when you were a kid. It's also important to let them go. But there's got to be a balance. There has to be some sense of
Landon.
You can be an adult,
right? Just Landon, you're right.
Landon, we're both right. Don't you get that?
That's the closest I'll get.
Don't you understand? That's what we're seeing here. Is that she grows up. She rejects the things from her childhood, but yet
Yeah.
when she succeeds in her journey, her quest is completed. She gets back home and she realizes I still need these things from my childhood
Right.
to remind me of what's important.
Well,
And
again,
so,
not to over philosophize this, but there are some really lasting themes. And I think that's one of the reasons why I appreciate this movie so much. I mean, I've got to be honest, as a father, I've never connected with my kids more than when I started to embrace being a kid with them. And that is something that's essential and often missing and criticized, whether we're listening to Cats in the Cradle songs or whatever. I mean, you look back and you say, man, I wish I'd have played with my kids more. But it was a bit of an epiphany in the last couple of years that, hey, I can enjoy being a kid with my kids. And so, yeah, absolutely. There's got to be this element where you still retain that value, but you still got to grow up,
yeah.
So I
You still have to
love that
go out
about
there
this
in the
movie.
world and do the adulting thing, but there, you still have to make time for, I don't know, like life.
Well, and you and I have stayed connected because of our ability to, in those moments when we got together, and of course now doing this podcast, but we can just get back together and appreciate things of our childhood, the things that have lasted, the things that are non-work related, not grown up. You know what I mean? But just being able to enjoy those things that almost transcend, any of that. That's. But now that we've talked philosophy, let's talk about the Bog of Eternal Stench, because I still laugh hysterically at that whole scene.
Is it the fart noises?
It is the
Again,
fart noises.
The 12-year-old. Ladies and gentlemen, Landon.
10. But my son, oh my gosh, we're watching that. He was like, what's wrong with this place? And I said, this is what we all experience when you do not control yourself.
And then Didymus riding on Ambrosius's back
across the rocks.
Uh-huh.
Now, I thought it was hilarious though, because I'll still to this day just say Ambrosius, Ambrosius. It's just hilarious, that voice. Who did that? Let's see who was the voice actor.
Probably one of the regular puppet people.
Probably.
Because I was looking at the cast with the puppets, and they're not a lot of big names. I mean, you see Frank Oz in there somewhere, and
David Allen Barclay. He is the one. Oh my gracious. He was the puppeteer for Jabba the Hutt. Man, Sir Didymus David Allen Barclay is very much important to all of our history.
I doubt he was the voice of
No.
Jabba.
No, but he was the puppeteer. He was a puppeteer for Jabba, and he did a lot of that stuff. He was a puppeteer in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, even though I thought all of that was digital, but I guess not.
Digital. It was 1989.
Well, you know what I mean. Cartoon, whatever it is.
I love how Didymus is nose blind to how bad it smells in the bog. Like everyone is like dying because of how bad it smells. But he's like, I smell nothing. The air is fragrant and clean. Yep. This is what happens when you get used to a bad smell. It's part of life.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so the voice of Didymus was Dave Goelz, Goelz, and David Allen Barclay was the puppeteer. He was the one who took care of that. So Dave Goelz. He was a voice actor for Fraggle Rock and Muppet Show and all that jazz.
Yeah.
He was Gonzo. He is the one who did Gonzo for us all of our lives.
Interesting.
That is Sir Didymus.
It doesn't sound like Gonzo.
Ludo, Ron Muke. Let's see. Did he do anything else? Not so much. Not that Ludo really required a whole lot. No, bad. Ludo, friend. That really wasn't.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. Thank you. I've done all of my voice coaching from him. So, but anyway, so who's your favorite side character?
Ludo.
Yeah.
And I think that's because his loyalty goes a long way.
Yeah. Pretty cool being able to call on the rocks. My son was like, that's his superpower. And I was like, would that it be all of our superpower?
Oh man, dang it. I was just making a sound and all these rocks just start rolling through my apartment.
I was just yawning, you know?
Right?
Oh,
I'm just making that old man sound when I get up off the couch.
Wasn't it interesting though when they get in the city and then you had the gates closed, that huge robot came and that was like an epic, like a battle. You know, it's going to be like a huge epic battle, and it's just this little guy that's at the top.
Yeah, it's like what is it, Men in Black, where it's just a tiny little alien inside the head of a guy.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. I think the scenes leading up, like at the end, I thought it was a pretty good crescendo. I mean, you're going through a lot of different things in the journey where she meets people, she goes through things, and she's going all around, and then she gets to the city, and it really was a climax. For a movie like that to have a climax and execute it, and it to grow where you have all the goblins coming at and them all being up there, and then her getting to the castle. I mean, I think it was pretty almost like a video game. You get to the end, you get to the big bad guy. You know, I thought it was pretty good. But the end scene with the labyrinth where he's singing and she's going up the stairs and all that stuff, that was pretty awesome.
The scene that was inspired by MC Escher.
Yeah, that famous art. I don't know if what it was or
the title of that piece.
Tell me more about it. Do you know anything about that?
Escher he was a I knew more about him in high school when I was taking like a lot of art classes. But
Escher, not Usher, right?
Escher, Escher, I believe. He drew a lot of images that would be impossible in real life. Like I believe he's one of the ones who drew like the staircase that goes in a circle, but is always going up or downstairs depending on which way. Which way you're going. And I could be giving him credit for that when I'm completely off. But yes, the scene there where you've got like gravity is in all different places, and Toby's sitting on the wall over here, but it's at the bottom of the stairs that like you could get to by going up these stairs over here. It's like it's crazy, but it's based off of a work of art done by MC Escher, which is really cool that they were able to bring that to life.
Well, I think between all the songs, when I was growing up, the Masquerade song was very boring to me. I didn't really connect with that. I thought it was filler. I didn't care about it, just because maybe I was just like, a 10-year-old kid. But
there were no farts happening in the Masquerade. So
yes. And what was that all about? But it was just very, when I became an adult and I watched, I enjoyed the scene a little bit more because of David Bowie. I appreciated David Bowie more than I had when I was a kid. So, but honestly, still, I think regardless, that song with the staircase and the Dance Magic Dance are my two favorite songs.
I really their final confrontation there I think is really well done, and like where she's standing her ground and he is trying to be as intimidating as he can be, but she's not buying it anymore.
No,
she's not afraid of him anymore.
This is the guy that just threw a snake at her at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, but he is powerless, almost like it reminds me of we had talked about in our first episode about it, in chapter 2, and just it's very similar, almost like this idea of demeaning or bringing down or discounting the power of the foe. She wasn't afraid of him.
Yeah, she leans back on the lines from whatever that play was she was working on at the beginning of the movie, and comes back to those lines, and she always has trouble with that last line, but the point of the whole thing was, you have no power over me.
Right.
And when she finally says that to him, it's like it breaks every spell he could have possibly placed on her, and everything's done. He's defeated. Toby and Sarah get home safely. Was it all a dream? Very Wizard of Oz like. But it's such a great, like that like I said, that whole confrontation, because he is trying his hardest to continue to be intimidating, to basically own her, and to, he's begging for her to give up and to just, become, I don't know what, his slave, or he claims that he would be her slave if she would just fear him.
Yeah, let him rule over. You'll have everything you want so long as you just subjugate yourself.
Right.
This is a communist movie, or fascist movie.
No, it's gaslighting. This is an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And she broke the cycle before it began. Good for her.
Good for her. Women empowerment. Wakanda forever. Hey, so there is, if you want to hear it, so here it is. Through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered, I have fought my way here to the castle beyond the Goblin City to take back the child you have stolen. For my will is as strong as yours, and my kingdom as great.
You have no power over me.
You have no power over me. And then boom. That's what turns you into a bird. An owl.
Well, an owl's a bird. So, I mean, you're right.
So, that's one way to get rid of it. So, kiddos, if you're laying in your bed at night and you're scared, just repeat these words. You have no power over me. And then whatever monster lurking in the darkness will turn into an owl and fly away.
I don't know about that, but there is a lot of wisdom in that, in
World,
just the whole mind over matter thing.
Truth. All right. So we have skipped over, probably intentionally, but I feel it's worth mentioning. The worst, the worst, the
creepiest and most obnoxious scene.
Worst scene ever. And I think we all know, if you watch The Labyrinth, if you're lasting this long on the podcast, that means you have watched Labyrinth. And you know what we're talking about.
You know what we've been consciously avoiding.
Yeah.
The red puppets, the fire gang, is that what they're called?
Yep. Yeah. Ugh. I don't even know.
They could have cut that entire scene out. Well, you wouldn't know the words unless you had them written in front of you. And when I was watching it today, I actually had the captions on. The words that come up on the screen don't match they don't enunciate when they're singing that song, and it's just horrible. They could cut that entire scene. And was it a
band that was popular at the time that they would insert that in?
I mean, they're just puppets singing a song.
They're called the Fireys, the Fire Gang.
Yeah, it's creepy. They're creepy. They're nightmare inducing, and that whole scene, like I said, could be cut out of that movie, and we would not be missing a single thing.
I hate the Fireys song.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's so bad.
There's no point in it. It's just the worst. It's the worst.
You know what movie I forgot to mention that was like this movie? It was Neverending Story. You remember that one too?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
It's only one of the most traumatic movies ever.
Why traumatic? Why?
Have you not seen the scene in the swamps of sadness?
Artax.
Oh my gosh! That horse just dies.
All right, let's not talk about it anymore. Oh, they used a lot of the same actors.
All right. Never. Okay,
Or the
you
fiery
opened
guy.
this can of worms with the Neverending Story. I remember watching it one time with some friends of ours from church, and I can't remember who it was, but I distinctly remember this kid getting up right when our text dies. He gets up, he runs up and turns the TV off and yells at his mom, "I never want to see this movie again." It's
Well,
that
that'll do it.
disturbing.
I will say, I think if I watch it again, last time I watched it, it might have been, I think maybe during COVID, I watched it with the kids because I had to have them see them. We did kind of like this whole thing where we watched all these movies. And I had them watch it and they looked at me and they're like, "That's awful." And I was like, "It is awful." And that's life, you know?
This is what life was like growing up in the 80s. We saw movies like this. We were exposed to the realities of death, disease, and you're living through COVID right now, sure. And that's going to be traumatic for you when you grow up, but it's not going to be anything like watching the freaking Never-Ending Story or Labyrinth, with people coming and stealing babies and
I was hoping there was like a hate page towards the Fireys, but there's not.
no, they're
It's
not.
just a general
Is it just the two
disdain.
of us?
No. Everyone hates them. It's just no one spent
No
more
one wants to
time
say
just-
something negative about Labyrinth, and so we just let it go. Just let this slide. It's a
There
beloved
was a-
movie.
Did you know there was a sequel?
There were comics.
Return to Labyrinth. What?
Yeah, like a manga thing,
What's a manga?
like Japanese comics.
Oh, right. Oh, I see that. I'm seeing it now. That was done in 2006. Yeah.
There's been talk of an actual like a movie sequel.
No.
I
No.
don't think, like, if David Bowie were still alive, or if they had been able to do this like 10 years ago when he was still alive, I think it would have worked. Because I mean, David Bowie, as old as he was, never really aged.
No,
Like,
and his voice still
looked the
retained
same.
its awesomeness.
Oh yeah, like he was recording
And
right up
Jennifer
until
Connelly
he
is
died.
still gorgeous. Yeah, no, I think that's maybe, but now you'd have to do, I don't know, Ed Sheeran.
No. We're not remaking Labyrinth with Ed Sheeran in David Bowie's role. No.
No, I don't
Absolutely
want
not.
another Labyrinth. It's just, don't you? I think you and I are similar in this respect, that I do want some things to be encapsulated in time.
There are movies that should be left alone. They shouldn't be remade. There shouldn't be a sequel that comes along 30 years later. It should just be done. Now, I would have said that about Top Gun, and then Maverick came out, and Maverick was
better than
awesome.
Top Gun.
And Maverick was better. Yeah, it was.
Top Gun.
So that is the exception to the rule.
Do you know, every time I want to write off Tom Cruise, he does something like this. You know what I mean?
Totally redeem
Just
yourself.
That's right. He's like, I just want to be like, "You're crazy. You're a crazy person. I'm not watching another one of your crazy movies, you crazy." Oh, that was good. I really liked that a lot. That was a great movie.
So, I mean, not to get too off topic, but there's no denying he's a good actor.
He really is.
He really is. His personal life is a mess, but he's a good actor. Say what you will about his
Tom Cruise
sanity.
played Jareth in the Labyrinth remake.
Let's not even pretend like let's put Labyrinth in the same category as Princess Bride and Back to the Future.
Yeah,
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You leave them alone. No
Never,
sequels,
never.
no remakes. You just leave them alone.
Oh my gosh.
Even though Back to the Future did get 2 sequels, but leave it at the trilogy. That's it. You're done. We're done with that story. Move on.
Yeah, you know how it's going to be with that. It also depends on your age, I think, coming into it. So for you and I, having a Star Wars sequel come out or an origin prequel, that's intriguing. It was exciting before, when they came out, the idea of it doing it. But there were so many people who were at a time of maturity in watching the original Star Wars where they're like, no, don't do anything. Leave it. You know what I mean? And they're still true to that to this day. And so I think some of it's part of the age range. So maybe a remake of some of these things would be good for.
No,
All right. Yeah,
no.
that's true.
I'm shutting you down. Shut it down. Stop having those thoughts. All right. I know
What
we
about
live in a
Goonies?
land where
I'm
freedom
wearing
of
my Goonies
speech.
shirt. Should there be a Goonies remake?
No. When you say the word remake, that means you want to take something that's already been done and update it with new actors.
All right. Well, what if there was a Goonies? What if there was like a Goonies sequel, and now you had Sean Astin as a dad?
I feel like that could be done, and it could be done well, where you've got the kids, they've grown up, but that's something they talked about. They actually discussed that back before Richard Donner passed
because
away.
You have all of those people that are still, available. You've got the kid who played Short Round, who's just done that movie, Everything Anywhere,
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That one, he's done that, and that was really cool. So he's got a little bit more notoriety.
Yeah,
of course, you got Sean
back on the
Astin,
scene,
who everybody is very familiar with, especially with him in Stranger Things.
Sean Astin, Josh Brolin,
if he would do it. I mean, my gosh,
yeah, he would. He would, and he's even like they've even anytime he's on the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon brings it up anytime he sees any of those guys. Would you do a Goonies sequel? And they say yes, but I don't think they would now because Richard Donner's passed away. He directed the original, and he would have directed a sequel, but they never could agree on what would make for a good story, and so it's never going to happen.
We should do one of these on the Goonies. That's such a good movie.
It is a good movie, but they should never remake it. But
no, not remake, but sequel maybe.
I'd be okay with a sequel where you have the kids, they're grown up, and they've got kids of their own who go on their own adventure.
But not a sequel of Labyrinth, because at this point, all you've got is Jennifer Connelly, and
you would have to recast the Goblin King, and that's stupid. I don't want
just
somebody.
Not enough depth of plot to be able to accomplish.
No.
Yeah. No, I agree. It just really is encapsulated in time, best preserved this way. I will always sing Dance Magic Dance. I will always sing these when they come up. I can watch these movies at any age. I love it. It's so good. Labyrinth. Boom.
Are you ready for your trivia?
I'm ready for my trivia.
All right. Looking through here, one for sure we talked about. But we'll get to that. All right. How many hours are on the clock showing Sarah's deadline for saving Toby?
13.
That is correct.
In 13 hours, you'll be mine.
That's not what he says.
I know.
Because it's already into it.
I know.
He gives a specific time. In 9 hours and 23 minutes, you'll be mine. Of course,
you would know that.
I would. I'm a cesspool of useless knowledge. Get me on Jeopardy, man. The character of Hoggle has his name mispronounced a number of times by Sarah and Jareth throughout the film. These include Higgle, Hogbrain, and the name of what future fictional school for witchcraft and wizardry?
Hogwarts.
That's right.
Hogwarts.
That's Sarah calls him Hogwarts at the very beginning, right after he shows her the way into the labyrinth. All right, name one of the famous children's books that can be spotted in Sarah's bedroom at the start of the movie, all of which helped to inspire the story for Labyrinth.
Where the Wild Things Are?
Where the Wild Things Are is one of them. The other two that I saw were The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland.
Nice, of course.
What Star Trek The Next Generation cast member served as the choreographer for Labyrinth? And I will accept, if you don't have the actor's name, I will accept their character's name instead. If you can pull that one out of your hat.
Wow. It's got to be one of two people, in my opinion. It's got to be LeVar Burton, or it's got to be Brent Spiner.
Neither.
Really? Who?
It was Gates McFadden. Or
Gates
Dr.
McFadden?
Beverly Crusher. Yes.
Are you serious?
She was the choreographer for Labyrinth. Yeah.
Oh wow!
I remember watching a behind the scenes thing for Labyrinth years and years ago, and like them having like showing a clip of her behind the scenes on the set. And of course, this is before Star Trek: The Next Generation, so she's slightly younger. I mean, this is a year before Next Generation premiered, but she obviously doesn't look like Dr. Crusher. She's just Gates McFadden, who is a choreographer and a dancer.
Had no idea.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
They were able to put her talents as a dancer to use in several episodes of Next Generation, where she taught Data how to dance.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, the only reason I thought LeVar Burton maybe was just because he had done Reading Rainbow and he had done kids stuff, and that's the only thing I could think of. But wow, that's so cool. That's really cool to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, that is awesome. I had no idea she had that.
Few nuggets here. We've got Gates McFadden here. We've got Jabba the Hutt. We've got some Star Wars connection with Henson here.
Well, of course, George Lucas was part of the production team with this movie too. So he had I think he actually came in for the second round of edits before it was finally completed in post-production.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's really cool is you got some really key players for the 80s, 70s and 80s. If you think about like Jim Henson and you think about Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, these guys were formative to our culture, our movie culture.
Well, yeah, because when they were breaking ground in special effects, these are guys who would call on each other to do things that haven't been done before.
Yeah. You know what it's like? It's like C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, the Inklings. You know what I mean? You just have this group of guys that are just incredible. They have no idea probably at the impact of what they're going to do to society and entertainment culture. And boom, we are completely a society as a result because of these kind of guys.
Yeah, it's just like George Lucas making Return of the Jedi calls up Jim Henson and is like, hey, I've got a character that I obviously we need some puppetry for, but how do we do this? Can we make this work? And of course, Jim Henson production steps in, and I don't know how much Jim Henson actually had to do with making Jabba the Hutt, or if he had anything to do with it. But these people are all connected. You got Industrial Light and Magic.
Industrial Light and Magic is a perfect example.
All of those things, and so just throw them all together, and you've got
THX
just a perfect way to make these practical effects that
oh my gosh
we just don't see anymore because it's easier to do CGI.
Well, but at the same time, CGI, even though it is computer generated, it's still based on the foundation of the ideas that these guys cultivated in other ways. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it more when they go back and do practical effects.
Sure.
Absolutely.
One of the cool things to watch, and Netflix, they have the movies that made us.
Oh, I love that.
And it's a really great show because you get to see so much of the history there, but you're also with some of them being able to see the transition from stop animation to digital, and
the episode on Jurassic Park was really fascinating.
And how frustrating it was to watch that have to be scrapped because they had reached the limit of what that could accomplish.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you're making a movie about dinosaurs that are extinct, and as you're making this movie, you're watching stop motion animators like they're becoming extinct because now we've got computers that are powerful enough to create these massive creatures in a realistic way that we've never been able to do before.
Again, though, I still think it's derivative because there is nothing that is of today that is so fancy and amazing in computer generated imagery that is not derived from what was accomplished early on.
Well, it's
the
everything
imagination for what could be done with what you had the capability to do began long ago, but these guys were core to that.
And everything is, you're standing on the shoulders of the people who came behind you or before you. And that's, I mean, even George Lucas, he, when what he had to work with was just the practical effects and the things that you could create by hand, he was already thinking ahead to when you could actually do things with computers, and that was his goal. And so, that's why it took him so long to finally get around to making the prequels, because the technology hadn't caught up to where his imagination was. And so that's where that lands. And I don't know, it's just
well, and Gene Roddenberry was the same way. I mean, just the visionary thought process about where you could go, with all this stuff. There's so many great people coming out of that time period in that era. But Jim Henson was absolutely one of them, and that's why we have such an incredible movie like this. All right, do you have any other trivia?
Last question. This is one like I said, we've already talked about this. So if you don't get it, you want me to paying attention to our conversation 30 minutes ago.
All right, I will sing it now.
Ludo has the special ability to control what?
Rocks.
Yep.
Dance, magic, dance. I just wanted to sing it one time. Just this little moment there.
You're gonna get us flagged for copyright,
dance, man. Magic, dance. I'm not that good of a singer.
You're gonna just get us flagged.
Jump, magic, jump, jump.
Although
make him free. That's not fun. That's lame.
Make him slap that baby, make him free.
Yeah, that's lame.
I didn't write it.
Yeah. No, I don't.
I just read it.
That's not my truth.
Oh my God. I hate that phrase. Truth is truth. There's no my truth or your truth. That's opinion.
I believe in absolute truth. The slap that baby, make him pee is the absolute truth.
Well, then your belief is wrong. Because the absolute truth is slap that baby, make him free.
Why would you make the baby free by slapping him?
I don't know. I didn't write it. Talk to Bowie.
I don't know. Are you sure? Where are you getting your insight from? Slap that baby, make him free.
The captions on Netflix.
Yeah. What do they know? Hey, so
Google it, son.
I will Google it. Slap.
All right.
If I type in slap that baby, I'm gonna get flagged for something. So I'm not gonna do that.
Sucker. All right. So that wraps up our talk about Labyrinth. Come back next week, and we got a big one coming out next week.
Oh yeah. What's it again?
So when we record next week's episode, I hope we will have both seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever at that point.
I need to go see that.
So that as we are recording this episode, that movie comes out next Friday.
It looks so good.
It
doesn't
does.
the previews look really so good? I think it's going to be amazing.
I think I'm going to cry, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just all right. So before we, get into, what the movie is and what it's going to be next week when we actually have a conversation about it, and maybe this will be food for thought for when we actually talk about the movie itself, but I actually would have been okay with them recasting T'Challa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, not to say that, Chadwick Boseman shouldn't be honored. But with the story that I know they were intending to tell, and they had a plan for a trilogy with him playing T'Challa.
Yeah.
Clearly they had an idea for the story going forward for at least 2 more movies with him as the key role of Black Panther. So, I'm one of those who I would have been okay with a recasting. Now, that's not to say I'm not going to enjoy this movie. I think I'm going to enjoy it thoroughly. But I'm very curious as to how they write T'Challa's character out of the MCU. Obviously something tragic is going to happen. And I really do think it's going to be very emotional.
Yeah.
And I just hope, and I'm certain of it. I trust, that Ryan Coogler and the cast and crew are able to truly honor Chadwick Boseman and his passing and his legacy. So I'm, like I said, I'm just interested to see how that goes down.
Yeah, no, me too. Well, I know for me and my family, watching Black Panther originally was very good for my family to watch, to appreciate, just valuing culture and being able to see, an amazing African American actor. Is he American or was he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I never know who's English or not English anymore. You know what I mean? So, but
They're also good with the
they're good with their
accents.
accents, right? But to see an African American actor play such an incredible hero and to have such an incredible storyline to go with it was really great for my kids and for me and for my wife to be able to see. And so that movie was incredibly impactful. I remember us watching it vividly, and so too in hearing of his passing, my family was affected. My kids were deeply affected with the reality of someone that seems like they could not die, to die.
Just this superhero who,
Yeah,
like,
you don't get to die. How? You don't that doesn't compute,
Yeah, and now it's like every time I see any kind of remembrance for him, I'm like, I really need to schedule a colonoscopy.
Well, the other side too is like when I and that's absolutely true. That's the awareness of things. But I'm excited for my family and myself to be able to see this movie because I think it's going to handle grieving in a big way.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's very helpful in many ways, especially for young people. So I'm really looking forward to the movie. I don't think I'll be disappointed whatever direction they take with it.
No, absolutely not. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, for watching. If you have us on YouTube, or even on Spotify, where you can watch the video version of this podcast as well. Wherever you are hearing us or seeing us, again, we thank you for that. If you want to support the podcast, just hit like, hit subscribe. Drop some stars, leave some reviews, find us on social media. You should see those social media, call signs, or what are they called? Am I right there? Is that, I'm old.
I couldn't tell you.
But they're on the screen right around here.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check those out. We're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. We're all over the place.
It's great to see our followers growing. It's growing little by little, and but it's great to see that. And we definitely want to grow this. And of course, if you have comments, please share them. And please also just share these on your feeds. It's a lot of fun. I think it's really cool to be able just to kind of talk about this kind of stuff and just joke and laugh and it's an escape a little bit. So but anyway, we'd love to hear your comments. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, if you like what you hear, if you like what you see, tell your friends about it. Maybe they will too. All right, be sure to drop us a line if you want to jump on our email address. That's showpodcast@gmail.com. And if you've got some kind of comment you want to share, join in the conversation about Labyrinth. Well, what do you think of David Bowie? What do you think of Jennifer Connelly? What do you think of Hoggle? Let us know. We are curious. Did you hate the Fire Gang as much as we did? Let us know. And we would be happy to share your thoughts right here on the podcast. So yeah.
Say your famous words. No, say your famous words.
We're signing off now. All right. Well, kids, have a great whatever it is, wherever you are.
Bye-bye.